Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel and thank you for being here today. I am glad to be back. I took a whole week off and I skipped last week's video, as you guys are aware, and I thank you so much for understanding, but I missed you and I'm ready to come back. I think that I needed that little Four of Swords and Hermit hiatus for a week. It allowed me to get a few things done and get some fall fragrances up in my Etsy shop, and I've been testing wax and wicks and new jars, and so I've been kind of focused on that for this week. But I know I've fallen behind on responding to comments on YouTube, but I have to tell you that you guys have been so supportive. You have wished me well going back to work. You've just been very, I don't know, like it really blew me away, and I really appreciate that, and I thank you guys so much. So I just wanted to tell you that. And then as far as work, to update you on work, I have to be honest, and I did not get my paperwork turned in time to start, so I'm still waiting on some paperwork, and once that's done, then I'll be able to start. And if I'm truly being honest with myself and with all of you, I knew I turned it in late, and I knew it was going to kind of stall the beginning, and it kind of got me an extra week, but now I'm going to have to really think about what it is that I want to do once that paperwork is done. So I'm kind of at this Two of Swords in my life right now, not really sure what to do. You know, all of my intentions were to return, and that was fully my plan until I received that email on Tuesday afternoon saying that something still needed to be done. And then once that happened, I don't know, I'm really kind of debating about what to do. So I don't know, I've got some thinking I have to do and some decision making that I've got to do, but that's where I am on the work side. But I thank you guys so much for your kind comments and your supportive comments. That really means a lot, so I thank you for that. I am obviously a week behind. Today's video is going to be a requested video, and I think that week off, it was needed, and I got a lot done as far as Etsy is concerned, but I'm really ready to get back into it, and I actually want to start even putting out more videos if at all possible. So I really want to hit it hard, especially for the fall season. I would like to kind of do something for Halloween. If you guys are interested in anything like that, maybe some different readings, maybe readings on haunted places, things along that line. If you guys have any ideas or suggestions, I welcome them. You can just write in the comment section if you have anything that sounds like it would be an interesting read for the month of October. I would love to do something like that. Let me know what you guys think. In the meantime, as always, if you are interested in true crime, tarot reading, unsolved cases, missing persons cases, and the occasional candle making video, please consider subscribing. And a big thank you to all of you who continue to support me each and every week. I really do thank you for that. Okay, so, and also private tarot readings, that's still available. All you have to do is email me. My email is always in the description box, and I believe it's under the About Me on YouTube as well. Should be. So all you have to do is email me, and it is $40 for a reading. And what I do is I record it just like I do a weekly video, and I upload it to YouTube, but I upload it as an unlisted video, which just means that you are the only one that can view it. I send you the direct link. Unless you choose to share that link with someone, then that's perfectly fine. It's up to you. But you are the only one that can view it, and it stays up there unless otherwise. If you tell me to remove it, I will. But it is usually about an hour in length, and I try to go as in depth as I possibly can. I use at least 2 or 3 different decks, and I go through each and every card like I do here, and then kind of the overall message. So if you're interested in that, just let me know. But let me get started on today's video, because It's a doozy, and I kind of had to write up a little bit because, as you know, I do like to put in some background, especially these older cases. This isn't really old. It happened in 2014, but I did want to kind of tell the story leading up to what happened, because even myself, I had heard about this case before, but not enough to know what had happened off the top of my head. So I did need to go back and kind of get some information, and I kind of like us to all know what's going on with the case before I start reading. So today's case is on Nanette Krentel. Nanette Krentel was a 49-year-old preschool teacher from Lacombe, Louisiana. I hope I'm saying that right. If not, I apologize. She had worked as a preschool teacher for 14 years. She loved her job and from all accounts was very much loved in return. She was married to Stephen Krentel, who at the time worked as the chief fire marshal. The two had been married for 22 years. However, this was Steve's second marriage, and he also had a son from his first wife named Justin. Nanette and Stephen were, I would say that they were pretty financially well off. They had a beautiful home built in 2000. It was on 100 acres, very secluded, surrounded by woods, really nice private piece of property, beautiful home. However, they were secluded, and they took an extreme amount, maybe not an extreme amount, but they did take safety measures. They had a gated driveway. They had several security cameras. I believe I read once in an article that they had 9 security cameras on and around the property. They were also both avid gun collectors and often did target shooting on the property. Nanette also carried a gun with her at all times. In fact, she always had a gun in her purse and in her car as well. So you have to ask yourself, why were there so many security measures taken? Was there something that made Nanette and Stephen feel as if they needed to carry guns, or was it just natural because the house was huge and it was beautiful, and so I don't know, but that was something that kind of hit me right away, was all of these security measures. Okay, so let's fast forward to July 14th, 2017. And that day, as many of these days and many of these cases, began just like any other ordinary day. Nanette would always pack a lunch for Stephen, and she'd walk him to the door to see him off for work, which is what she did that day. Stephen does show up for work at around 8:30 a.m. However, around 2:30 p.m. later that day, Stephen gets a phone call from his cousin. Now, this cousin happens to live down the street from Stephen and Nanette. Okay, so very close by, and apparently he's seen smoke coming from Stephen and Nanette's residence, and he calls his cousin Stephen and lets him know that his house is potentially on fire. Now, remember, Stephen is a fire marshal chief, right? So they acted on it quite quickly. Stephen and his co-workers head to the property. In this time, Stephen is also frantically trying to get a hold of Nanette, but is unable to. She's not answering her phone. And I'm going to see if I can get a clip of the dash cam of Stephen driving up to the property at this time. I think that that's interesting, so hopefully I have that in.
That is Nanette's husband,
That really doesn't mean too much. And Nanette had also confided in close friends and family that she was also scared of her stepson, Justin. So remember I said that Stephen was married before Nanette and he had a son. And from what I can tell, Nanette and Justin did not have the best relationship, and there were some issues there. However, Justin was out of state at the time of the fire, so there's that. There were also issues with Nanette's brother-in-law, Brian. So apparently there had been a previous incident with Brian, and the relationship kind of sizzled, and Nanette did not feel safe around Brian. Now, Brian actually has a criminal background, okay? He's got a criminal history. So I'm not going to get all into the details of what happened between Brian and Stephen and Nanette, but there was some bad blood between them all. And I think Nanette did share concern with friends and family about Brian and being concerned about him and in regards to her safety. So then we have the mystery man that Nanette sees one day out at the end of the driveway and standing next to the trash can. So apparently Nanette had been outside one day and she saw just a strange man standing by the trash can on the road. She managed to snap a picture of the man and she sent the picture to her father because it did startle her. She had also been finding cigarette butts outside the home and no one in the home smoked. So obviously there's something going on with Nanette. She feels concerned. They've got the security cameras. They've got the private gate. She's carrying a gun on her at all times. And she's got some issues with some family. And like I said, it's Stephen's family, not her family. So she's got some issues with the brother-in-law. She's got issues with her stepson. And she's already feeling on edge. And now all of a sudden she goes out, I don't know if she was out walking or what, but she goes out and she sees a guy that's randomly standing by her trash can. Now, that's odd in and of itself because they are in such a secluded area that in order for a person to just be standing out there, it just is, it's suspicious because it's not like on a regular residential street where you're going to find people walking down and walking their dogs or taking walks with their children. This is not the neighborhood for that. This is one of those drives where you have to know where you're going and you have intentions to go there to be there. At least that's how it looks to me. So to just find a random man that she does not know or recognize standing by her trash can was very startling for her, and she did snap a picture. I'm going to put that picture in there, and she did express concern when she sent that picture to her father, which was another reason I would assume for the security cameras and carrying a gun, because she was concerned for her safety, apparently, and rightfully so, given what happened. So now Brian, this brother-in-law, was actually on house arrest at the time the fire happened, and he states that he was at home. However, it has come to light that the GPS tracker had not been activated. So kind of that's a concern. So I don't know if they can actually verify that he was at his residence 110%. I mean, that's what he's claiming. He's stating that he's innocent. He has nothing to do with this fire or, the murder of his sister-in-law. But in actuality, I don't know if they can actually definitively say that he was at his home at that time if the GPS wasn't even activated on his bracelet or whatever it was that he was wearing. So that's an issue. Nanette's family and friends have also speculated and wondered if Nanette was possibly killed the night before. Supposedly, that's interesting. Before I get into the next bit, that is very interesting because, Stephen, to this point, I'm just going to say we have no conclusion in this case to this day. So we're going on 6-7 years now. Stephen did lose his position as fire marshal, but this investigation has not yielded any kind of results in this time. And so one of the main reasons that I think Stephen was kind of put to the back burner is that he did in fact have an alibi that day. He was at the fire station. People seen him come in. He was there all day until the phone got there, or until the phone call that he received in the afternoon. So is it possible that Nanette was killed the night before and the house was set on fire to cover up that murder the following day? And if that's the case, if they could prove that she was in fact killed the night before, then that opens up a whole can of worms for Stephen. Then he would have some explaining to do, but they have not. It doesn't seem like that's where the investigation is going. In fact, the sheriff actually came out and said that there is video footage of Nanette that afternoon before the fire in her car near a McDonald's. So that video footage has yet to be released. People have requested to see the video footage. The family has requested to see the video footage to confirm that this was in fact Nanette, or was it just her car? You know, they just want to see it. And the sheriff is denying anyone to see the video footage. He will not release that video footage. So he's on one hand saying that no, she couldn't have been killed the night before because we have proof that she was out and about driving around that day. But no one else has seen that proof, so we really don't know. We're going based on what the sheriff says, and you would think that you should be able to believe what the sheriff says, but as we know in these cases, you can't always believe that. And is there a relationship between the sheriff and Stephen? After all, Stephen is, at this time, was the chief fire marshal, so is there some politics or friendship or anything that's playing a role in the conclusions that the sheriff is coming to? Okay, so we have to keep that in mind as well. All right, so eventually Stephen was removed from the fire marshal position, and here we are 6-7 years later, like I said, with no answers as to who killed Nanette. So we've got a few different people, right? We've got Stephen, the husband, the brother-in-law, Brian. We've got the mystery man. We've got Justin, the stepson. And you know, is the mystery man the one who's leaving all the cigarette butts outside? I would be curious to know if any of those cigarette butts were collected and tested for DNA. I know if they don't have a match, it's kind of not going to really find a person, but at least it could rule people out. And then they would know if they were looking for a stranger or not. So I'm curious if, you know, that was collected. But we've got these weird characters in this story, and it kind of seems like they were either out of town, out of state, or they have a solid alibi, except for Brian. His GPS tracker wasn't on, so that I don't really feel like that's a solid alibi. But we don't have any answers in this case, and like I said, you know, it's going on 6-7 years. So let me go back to the security cameras that I mentioned. Okay. One would think that they would be able to go in and find the footage to these security cameras, and they would be able to determine if anybody was on the property that shouldn't have been on the property, or should have been on the property but was doing something that, you know, they shouldn't have been doing. It just so happens that the security cameras were not working that day. And I think I came across, I'm going to have to find that article again, but they weren't not working. It sounds like they were intentionally turned off. So all 9 security cameras did not pick up anything that day. And these security cameras were actually connected to a DVR in the master bedroom. And they located the DVR, but it was so badly burned they could not get they could not retrieve any of the footage that had been sent to the DVR. And I believe that they even sent this DVR out to the FBI, and they tried to retrieve anything. They could not retrieve anything either. So we've got 9 cameras that were turned off, and so it does kind of make you think, okay, this person has to be aware. Whoever did this has to be aware of the layout of this home. They have to have some sort of, and I believe that the sheriff actually did come out and say that he believes that this person, whoever it is, knows the layout of this house. So we know it's got to be someone who has at least been in the home. But like I said, the characters that I've mentioned so far, they either have an alibi or they were out of town, like I said, except for Brian. You know, I don't know. We've got a lot of questions. We've got more questions than we've got answers. So, and then I am wondering too if the DVR was possibly targeted intentionally in the home, because remember, we do have the gasoline as an accelerator that was found, and I wonder if that DVR was intentionally burned beyond, you know, recognition. So anyway, like I said, we have a lot of questions about this case, and let's see if we can get some answers or get some insight, or something will come up in this reading. I have 2 tarot decks today. I have the Urban Tarot, and I have the Heaven and Earth Tarot, which I'm going to be using for the bulk of the reading. So I'm going to not necessarily ask a question for the first pull. I want to just kind of see what comes out, okay, in Nanette Krentel's. Just with saying her name, I want to see what kind of story starts to develop, and then I'll see if I can actually kind of narrow it down and get some of these things answered. I do want to know. I actually might, at the end, I might pull a card each for one of these characters in this story. One card for Stephen, one card for Brian, one card for Justin, one card even for the cousin who lives down the street who reported this fire, because I forgot about him, right? I mean, we've got a cousin that just happens to live down the street who is the one who reported the fire in the first place. So we've got the cousin, and we've got the guy by the trash can. So I think I'm going to pull a card at the end for each one and just kind of see what comes up for each one of these people. All right, so we have got Nanette Krentel. So what's going on with Nanette Krentel? What happened? What happened leading up to this fire? What happened leading up to this fire? Tell us the story, Nanette. Tell us the story. What happened leading up to this fire? What happened leading up to this fire? So we've got the Ten of Wands, the Sun, the Devil reversed, Temperance, Nine of Pentacles, Princess of Cups, or what I like to call the Page of Cups, Ace of Swords, the Empress reversed, Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Swords. Okay, so right off the bat, when I look at that first card, the Ten of Wands, I do feel like she was kind of, Nanette, I feel like she was kind of at her wit's end, okay? So whatever was going on, it was really, really bothering her, okay? It was really stressing her out. She had a lot of concern. This really does tell me that there was a need, at least as far as she was concerned, and obviously there was a need for all of that security and, the gun and the gate and everything. She really was... this had been going on, I think, for a while. She was concerned, and it was really weighing on her. So that is immediately coming out. We have also, let me go down to the Nine of Pentacles. I do believe that this is definitely representing Nanette and her situation. I think health and financially, she was content as far as those things were concerned, okay? This to me is her happy with her job. She had been teaching preschool for 14 years. Apparently, from what I read and what I watched, she was absolutely adored by her co-workers and family members of the students, and her students especially. And so this to me just kind of shows her spirit as a person. I mean, I'm looking at this woman here, and she's outside, so she's grounded, she's down to earth. She is financially stable, but she's very grounded and down to earth. She's appreciative of everything that she has. She's gentle, she's caring, she's nurturing. So this to me does definitely kind of show the type of person that Nanette was, and I'm glad that that came out, because when you have videos like this, or when you have cases like this when someone has lost their life, you have a lot of people, and not in all cases, but you have a lot of people coming forward and saying, yes, this person was wonderful and this person was this and that. And we don't know, right? We really don't know. We're just going by what people say. But and I believe them in this case, and I do feel like this is a confirmation that that was in fact her true personality, and she was very much loved by people. So I do think, and this also, you know, what this isn't saying, the stress here, if you look at these two cards here, this, whatever this was weighing on her shoulders, it didn't have anything to do with money, and it probably didn't have anything to do with health as well. So that tells me that it was something else. This here is something else. So no major health concerns, no major money problems, but there was something bothering Nanette at this time, okay? Something really bothering her. And there was someone in her life, or there was something going on in her life that was not good. We've got the devil. Okay, we've got the devil. And it's interesting that the devil is coming up right next to the sun. All right, we've got a child. Okay, so when I seen that son, the first thing that I thought of was the stepson, Justin. Because he is the child, right? He's not a child. He's a grown man. He lives out of the state. But that originally popped into my head. We've got a child. We've got a child. And the only child here in this situation, as we're referring to as a child, would be Justin. So is there something going on with Justin? I don't have enough information yet, but let's just put it on the table and keep it in mind. And it could very well not be that, but I do believe that that was one of the reasons why this came out. I also believe that this is coming out because it is, to me, it's a confirmation, especially when we know someone has passed over or transitioned over, and this card comes out, tells me that their spirit, their essence of who they are, has transitioned, and they are absolutely okay. So I do feel like this is also a direct message from Nanette saying, I'm in a good place, I am happy, I'm content, I'm fine. I've said this a million times in past videos, I do not believe that a person's case, okay, has to be solved in order for that person to have peace when they transition. And so I do look at this card as a couple of different things, and we'll have to kind of like keep those things in mind as we go on further in the reading. But there's something here. There's something with the devil. And if you flip it over, okay, with the devil, we've got a couple. So we've got a man and a woman. And is this relationship connected? Is this something to do with Nanette's relationship? Was there something dark and haunting over the relationship? Is there, and I feel like when it's reversed, I feel like, to me, okay, my own reversal definition, I look at that as something that had been going on for a while. Okay, it's something that she had been dealing with. It's something that she was aware of and was struggling with it. And I think that this has a lot to do with this one here. This is this is part of the reason, if not all of the reason, why this card is coming out. Okay, so, and I have to feel like I do feel like in this case we're talking about her and Steven. So there's something going on. Now, I didn't mention this in the introduction, but when Steven and Nanette met, Steven was married to his first wife at that time, and he actually was not a fire marshal. He owned a couple of businesses, and one day Nanette applied for a position at one of the businesses. She walked in, he hired her, and they hit it off really well, and they ended up having an affair, and he did leave his wife, and he got married to Nanette. And they were married for 22 years, so they were married for quite a while. But we know that he has also admitted to having an affair again on Nanette now. So there's something here, because when I see the devil, I always think of there's an addiction, there's something, a pattern of behavior that has gone outside of the normal boundary, okay, of being acceptable. It's something that you are doing in excess, whether it be drugs, whether it be food, whether it be anything, any kind of addiction type thing. So I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a couple, And I'm thinking back to the fact that this is his second or third affair that we know of. Is that something that is an issue here at play? Okay, so that's kind of where I'm leaning with that. Now we do have the Temperance, and I feel like it's not reversed, okay? It's not coming out reversed, but it is right next to that Devil. And even though I don't use a particular spread, I do very much try to pay attention to where things come out and what they're next to, and just kind of how I feel about their location. And it is next to the Devil. We've got this Devil actually surrounded by nice cards. We've got the Devil smack dab in the middle of the Sun and in the middle of Temperance. So the position of the Devil, I mean, it's almost like, it's very interesting. Very interesting. So it's almost like, if it, to me, I see that as, if it hadn't been for this, whatever this is, everything would have been perfect. Everything would have been just wonderful and how it should have been. Something was going on in Nanette's life that was flipping it upside down and causing a horrendous amount of strain on her. But it's not her. It wasn't her. There wasn't anything that she was doing. This here, whatever this is, whoever is behind this is what is messing her up. This is what is kind of taking her out of her balance. And then I'm looking down here at the Empress. Okay, the Empress is reversed. I feel like this had changed her. I feel like this had changed her personality. It was wearing down on her. I mean, we know from this one here that it was wearing down on her, right? She was carrying a heavy burden in the form of stress and spiritually. She was very concerned about something, very. And I do feel like this coming out in reverse just kind of shows that it was starting to affect her lifestyle and the way she was living. And I do believe that it was affecting her home life. I do think that with this card coming up, this starts at home. This is a home card. This is a foundation, stability. This is a home card, okay? I mean, I'm not going to look at the regular traditional sense where we've got, you know, tight on money. I don't really think that we are looking at a money situation in this case. Now, money might be a part of it because maybe someone was paid to do something, but in this situation, I feel like this card is coming out because we have to stay focused on the home. Whatever was going on here in this situation was within the home. And isn't it funny how we have all these four pentacles? We've got Stephen, we've got Brian, we've got Justin, we've got Trash Can Man, right? Very interesting that these guys here, I'm looking at these pentacles as representing each one of those characters in this story, and they are all connected. That's what I see. They are all connected. And then we have the ringleader. So let me take that back, actually. We've got the ringleader. We've got the guy running the show. So I'm going to actually go on the gander, or go on, I'm going to just say that this guy here is Stephen. Okay, so we've got Stephen as the main key character. And then we've got, let's just start in order. We've got the cousin who called that said that the house was on fire. And then we've got Justin, the son-in-law. And then we have Brian, the brother-in-law. And then over here we've got Justin. So I feel like if anything that's coming out with this card is that these guys, all of them, are connected in some way, shape, or form. Okay, and it starts in the home. That's how I'm looking at that card. The Princess of Cups, so the Page of Cups. So, you know, I'm not usually, of course, when this card comes out, you know, typically it can be some relationship or new love for something, or new fondness or feelings developing. This could actually be representing Stephen's affair, but I don't necessarily know if, I'm not sure yet. I really have to kind of pull another couple cards to see what comes with that. I'll have to leave this one out because I don't necessarily know if I feel like it is anything to do with Stephen's affair. I mean, it might very well be that, you know, is this something new that, you know, is this a motive? Is it coming out because it's a motive? You know, I know sometimes, you know, if we look at Chris Watts, men tend to think that this is a way out so that they don't have to financially, deal with a divorce? Is it something like that? Is it something like a girlfriend or a mistress, and this is a better way out than having to forego half of everything, kind of thing? So we can keep that in mind as well. And then we have the Four of Swords, and we have the Ace of Swords. So sometimes the Four of Swords, for me, it can kind of sometimes, well, I don't even like to say it, but honestly, and I don't, sometimes it can represent death to me. Okay, so I'm not quite sure why this is coming out yet. If it's because I'm not quite sure if it's because we know the end result of what happened to Nanette, or if there's another reason. Okay, but there are 4 swords in this card, right? There's 3 on the wall and there's 1 on the bottom. And we've also got another 4 here, so we've got 2 4s. So again, I do feel like this is another symbol of home, of foundation. There's something going on with home, and there's a connection. There's a connection to all these people, I think, in this story, and that is not what I was expecting. I did not expect that to happen. I thought it would kind of point out one person in particular, but so far in this reading, I feel like all of these players in this situation, in this case, there is some sort of a connection. I don't know if it's just that they are aware of what other, people in that situation did, or if they've done anything, if they are all hiding something from law enforcement. Do they know something? I don't know, but there's some connection, I think, with the 5 or the 4 or 5 of them. And then we have kind of the 3 up there on the wall and the 1 down by his side, right? So I don't know. I feel like that 3 is significant. I know that this is a 4 card, but I feel like the 3 for some reason is significant. So I want to keep that one out as well. So I think I'm going to actually keep the Page of Cups out, and I'm going to keep the 4 of Swords out, because I feel like there's something significant about those 3 swords on the wall. Excuse me, on the wall, and I'm not quite sure what it is yet. And then we have the Ace of Swords. So I feel like this is something that, this to me kind of tells me that it's a possibility that this was premeditated. This was kind of an idea. This is something that someone came up with, but I wasn't a good idea. I mean, I guess maybe it was, because it's been 6 or 7 years now, and we have no answers today. But I do feel like this is a card that's indicating that this was an idea, this was a plan, this was something that someone came up with, and maybe necessarily wasn't a plan that they had had for very long, but it was a plan nonetheless. So I just want to specifically ask if Stephen, the husband, is responsible for this. Stephen Krentel responsible? Does Stephen Krentel have anything to do with the death of his wife? Does Stephen Krentel have anything to do with the death of his wife? Stephen Krentel have anything to do with the death of his wife? Oh my God, justice. And it's upright. This, to me, that 9 of Cups goes with that Devil card. That goes with addictions, because sometimes this can be a lack of moderation in excess. So I feel like there's something that Stephen, because I'm asking about Stephen right now, there's something that he there's something that he can't control. Okay, there's some sort of emotional fulfillment that he is always trying to seek. So interesting that that came up. Okay, swiftness. We have swiftness and communication. So he was communicating with people. Several people possibly. Knight of Cups. Now that Page of Cups is now starting to become kind of a little bit more sensible. The Tower. Okay. We've got a fire. Jesus. We've got a fire. The Tower is coming up. That is exactly how this house was destroyed. That is not the cause of Nanette's death, but sure is looking like it was a cover-up, okay? And so not surprising that the Tower came out. Princess of Swords, so Page of Swords. Let's do one more. And then we have the Six of Cups. All right, interesting that the Six of Cups is coming out. It's not the Six of Pentacles, and I was waiting for the Six of Pentacles to come out because I look at that as an exchange of money, okay, that somebody was paying someone to do something. Someone was agreeing to do something for that money, right? So that hasn't come out, but we still have a six. We've still kind of got that exchange, but there's something going on in the aspect of feelings and emotions. I'm looking at this card here, okay? I'm looking at the Nine of Cups and the Six of Cups, and we are, I think, referring to Stephen in this particular draw. There's something that he is always seeking to fulfill, okay? And I don't know if there's other affairs that he has had in these past 22 years that he was married to Nanette, okay? All I can say is that I feel like there were other women. I don't feel like this is the only affair, okay? And I'm saying that because of this Nine of Cups. I feel like this is something that he is constantly doing. I think that that is also why the Devil came up, because I think that there's something in his pattern of behavior that shows that he's always trying to seek fulfillment. There's always something that he's trying to attain, okay? And he does it, I think, in the form of relationships with people. And I do think that that is what that Devil was now. I think that there is a relationship issue, but I think it's on Stephen's side, and I think it has to do with affairs. So my guess would be that he has had several. He is only admitted to the one, but I personally would not be surprised if he had several affairs. Now, this one here, it to me, it's a blast from the past. That's kind of what the card is, the definition. But we're also looking at what could be a mother and daughter, right? So, and again, I'm going to translate that into a father and son. We've got relatives. We've got someone that is connected to someone by feelings and emotions, right? There's good feelings between these two. So again, I feel like the adult is Stephen, and the child could potentially be his son. We've got family in this situation. We've got family in this story. We've got a cousin. We've got a brother-in-law. We've got a son. There's a lot of emotional and feelings connected to these people. And so I do think that's something of importance in this case. There's something of importance with all these people. I do feel like they are all connected somehow, and I do feel like they were communicating with one another because of this one here. There was communication, okay? And look at the clouds. I mean, it almost looks like it was, it's smoky, really. I mean, the clouds are dark. It looks like it's, kind of looks like a storm is brewing. Interesting. And I feel like, usually this can be any kind of fast communication, texting, email, whatever. But I do feel like there's some other, I know Stephen was at work that day, okay, and, if he had a cell phone, I'm sure that they've checked. I would imagine that they checked his cell phone records, and they've probably looked at everyone's cell phone records, I would hope. But is there a possibility that maybe burner phones were used? But this, to me, tells me that there was communication between these people. Whoever started this fire, whoever did this to Nanette, okay, there's communication. So that means that more than one person is involved, in my opinion. More than one person is involved. Okay, I feel like we're talking about a small group of people at this point in time. Definitely more than one. I want to ask a quick question. Hold on, let me think of it before it falls out of my mind here. Oh God, I just had it. Oh man, I had a question in my mind. Something about the burner phones. Did they have burner phones? Oh God, maybe it'll pop back into my head, but I had a question. I wanted to pull a card on that specific question. Maybe it'll come back. What was it about? I was talking about the burner phones, the communication, them checking the I don't know, that makes me so angry. Okay, so definitely family, and I'm gonna save that justice for last, because I do feel like this is a good sign. I feel like justice is on the side of Nanette. Okay, I don't know how long it's gonna take for justice to prevail, but I do think that in these scales are balanced, right? And the Lady Justice is blind, and so I think I said in my intro that, it makes me kind of wonder if there's a little bit of corruption because of the position that Stephen had, being the chief fire marshal, and the sheriff kind of just, I don't get very good feelings about the sheriff. I feel like he's doing a really shitty job on this case. And so that was a concern. But this card coming out kind of helps relieve those fears that there is going to be corruption that is just going to derail this investigation. This actually makes me feel like there's a chance, like this case still has a chance that something's going to happen. I don't know what, and I don't know what's being done. Maybe it's going to be on the side of the family. Maybe they're going to keep pushing. Maybe they're going to hire their own investigators. I don't know, but this card coming out tells me that there is a very, very good chance, if not more than likely, that there is going to be a resolution in this case. Okay, justice will be served, I feel. I really do. And again, I don't think I need to go over the Tower card. This to me, this says it all. I feel like this was intentional. Now, usually, that's an opposite for me when I see the Tower card, because when the Tower comes out, I look at that as something that needed to happen, something that had to happen, right? But I can't look at the Tower the same way in a murder case, because why does that need to happen? So it doesn't translate the same to me, but I'm literally looking at this as a literal card. This is what happened, and it was intentional. Look at that lightning bolt. Look at that lightning bolt hitting the top of that house. Okay, this to me, again, makes me feel like this was definitely intended to cover up a crime. So let me look at this card again. We've got two people falling out, two people jumping out into the water. I don't know, but that's definitely, if anything, if I take anything from that Tower, it's that this was set intentionally. Now, interesting that this card is coming out, because we are talking about Stephen, right? This was his draw. So is this Stephen feeling like he had no other option, that this was his only way out? That this was his only way out. He was not going to get stuck in a divorce. He wasn't going to be in financial ruin. So did he not feel like he had any other option but to do this? Or is this Nanette? Is this what happened to her? Was she tied up? Was she held? Did someone do something to her? Did they? I don't know. So I feel like this could actually be even both of them. It could be Nanette being trapped, being attacked by someone, being targeted, being held against her will, or it could be just Stephen not feeling like he had any other option but to murder his wife. And it's been 6 or 7 years now, so if that's the case, he has gotten away with it for quite some time. So, but interesting that it's kind of underneath the justice. So that's kind of actually why I'm leaning more towards it being Stephen and not Nanette. because it is under his two cards. It's under the Justice and it's under the Nine of Cups, and these two are for him for sure. So I do feel like this is more Stephen than it is Nanette. And it's also interesting that the cards here, let's just say, for example, this is Stephen, and I do believe that that's Stephen. It's right next to the Tower. It's right next to the Tower. So is this him feeling no other choice but to do this? Did he feel that there was no other option available to him? This was his only choice. This was his only way that he could see happening. He could get out of this situation, was to light that fire for whatever reason. So at this point in time in the reading, I feel like all of these characters, like I said, are connected, and I feel like Stephen does know more than what he's saying. I feel like there's something going on with Stephen, and it could be financial, because remember, we did have that Four of Pentacles. So let's go back to that Four of Pentacles for a second. You know, that Four of Pentacles, I did not look at it as a financial card. I looked at it as a home. I looked at it as connection between all the characters. But was this Stephen's way of holding on to what money he had? Was this the only option that he felt he had? Okay, because if he were to divorce Nanette, if he were to divorce Nanette, that could financially ruin him. He would have to give her half of everything, and that could potentially financially ruin him. And again, I go back to Chris Watts. Is it something like that? Like, you think that you can get away with it, and you plan on doing something because this is going to ultimately save you money. It's going to keep you out of debt. So is this what we're looking at here? That's kind of the way I'm leaning. I feel like there is there is possibly a financial motivation for him doing what he did, and not feeling like he had any other way out. All right. And then we have the star card. All right, so sometimes I look at this as a number card. I look at it as several. I do feel like, you know, and you can look at this as the stars are aligned, right? The stars are aligned. Everything just went into place. And you would hope that that would be in reference to something good. But in this case, I feel like it's there's something with with this particular card in this deck. I always look at the stars the way they're lined up, and it looks like a clock. There's something about timing, okay, with this card for me. There's something about timing and a connection. Those stars are connected. And I have said from the very beginning of this reading that there's a connection between these two people. These characters. They're all connected somehow. Even down to the trash can guy. He is connected in this some way, shape, or form. Okay, whether he was placed there to make Nanette feel uneasy, whether he was placed there to maybe have Nanette take a picture of him and send him to a family member, because if anything were to happen in the future, then Stephen could go back and say, well, you know, we did have a stranger standing outside by our trash can. She even took a picture and sent it to her father. You know, was that there just to kind of deter people away from, you know, someone else? I do feel like that person is also connected. Okay, this was something that I think was worked on for a very long time. I think whoever is behind that, and the more I'm pulling on this case, I feel like we're looking at Stephen. I think that Stephen does have a large role in this. I know he passed his lie detector test, but I cannot help shake with the cards that came out today that Stephen has something to do with this, okay? Of course, I'm, you know, entertainment purposes only. I have to say that, but, well, I don't have to say that, but I want to say that. So I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm just saying, in my opinion, based on these cards, I feel like we're looking at Stephen, and I feel like he really did a good job of making sure every single thing was in place. He took care of every single detail. It's like whoever did this, okay, and let me just back up. I shouldn't say Stephen for sure, but let's say whoever did this took great care in focusing on every detail. Every single detail was looked at with a fine-tooth comb. Made sure every I was dotted and every T was crossed, okay? Really, and it did if you look at these 3 cards here, okay, it did kind of line up. Things did kind of line up. Things kind of worked. I mean, there was a lot of work. There was a lot of communication. And also, we have patterns. We have a 9, or we have an 8, and we have an 8. So we have patterns of behavior here. This to me tells me that premeditation is definitely on the table. Premeditation is on the table. Because this was a pattern that they were doing. This was something that they were working on and communicating on for a while. Now, I know when I pulled that Ace of Swords, I said maybe it wasn't for very long, but now I'm actually starting to kind of change my tune on that, and I'm thinking maybe it was a minute. Maybe they were planning this for quite some time. Maybe, I don't know. It's an ace, so was it 1 month? 1 year? You know, that's kind of the way I'm leaning, because aces are ones, and so I feel like there's a one involving in the time. So either it was 1 month or it was 1 year, but this was something that actually had been in the works for a time, and it just so happened that the stars kind of aligned on that day and they were able to pull it off. So very interesting about that card. Where was this? Down here. And then we do have the Page of Swords, or the Princess of Swords. So this one here, and then we've got the Knight of Cups. So we've got these two, right? We've got these 2 cards here. And then earlier I did have the Page of Cups as well, and I said I wasn't sure if that was a relationship, but I do feel like this is a relationship. I feel like this is the affair that Stephen was involved in. And, you know, the Knight of Cups is reversed, so it's almost like makes me wonder about the relationship with the person that he was having an affair with. Maybe it wasn't, I don't know, I feel like he was always seeking some emotional fulfillment. There was something that he was always trying to find or to achieve, and just could never. Or was never sustained for any length of time. But with this one reversed, it kind of makes me feel like, you know, because this is that Casanova kind of card. That's what this Knight of Cups is. It's the player, okay? It's the person who is, you know, rolling out the red carpet to get you to, you know, whatever, but not necessarily the person that is going to marry you. And so this is a player card, and I feel like that's exactly what Stephen was, or is, or at least wanted to be. He was a player. But for it to come out reversed makes me feel like there's something amiss here with him in this particular relationship. I don't know. I'm not quite sure on that one. That one is, let me just pull one more. What is the, let me see, what's the Knight of Cups here? Ooh, I'm at an hour. I better hurry up. All right. Knight of Cups. What is the Knight of Cups? What is the Knight of Cups? Oh, okay. So the Knight of Cups, he wasn't happy. He wasn't happy with the outcome of that affair. There was something that wasn't working out the way he had hoped. So for a clarifier, I pulled the Seven of Pentacles. That's always that. I don't want to say it's a disappointment card, but it's definitely a card where you're not where you want to be. And so this relationship, although it was an extramarital relationship and he was involving himself at that, it wasn't. It just, there was something amiss in it. I don't know if it was because he was still married and he was worried about finances or worried about a divorce. I don't know. Maybe the feelings weren't quite there. You know, there's something off about the relationship or the affair with this coworker. It was not turning out quite like he had hoped. All right, so let me go ahead, because I'm already an hour into it. Let me go ahead and pull some cards from the Urban Tarot and see what we got. And then I do want to pull that card for each one of those characters too. shuffle over here. I don't want it to be too loud. Alright, so I just want to ask for this final draw. I know I have a good feeling that this oh, I know what I was going to say too. With those 2 8 cards, we are at the 6-7 year mark. It kind of makes me feel like could we have some answers by the 8 year mark? That's another thing that I was thinking about with those the 8 of Pentacles and the 8 of Wands. So we've got 2 number 8s, and that kind of gives me hope, along with that Justice card, that there is going to be some answers in this case. I think that there's going to be progress. I think that even that 8 of Wands, I'm looking at movement in the case as well. Okay, I don't think that a card has to have just one meaning. I think it can have multiple meanings, and I think that there was communication in regards to the plan, and I think that there's also movement in the case as well. Oh wow, the Tower again. All right, so I want to ask, you know, just the overall, you know, what is there going to be an ending to this? Or are we going to have some sort of justice? Like I said, I do feel like that that Justice card makes me feel that way, but I want to ask with this deck as well. All right, so we've got the 5, we've got disappointment. 2 of Wands, the Fool, the 9 of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, the Journalist, and the Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so you know, we've got the Tower, of course, and I feel like that's just coming out to reiterate that this was an intentional fire. This was definitely, to me, without a doubt, an intentional fire. The fire was intentional, so was obviously the act itself of killing Nanette. And I do feel like everybody involved in this case, okay, they know something. They at least know more than what they are claiming to know. And, you know, this here, the 5 of Cups, that's disappointment, right? So we know that there's disappointment, and I think I actually feel like this is disappointment on Nanette's side, as far as how the investigation has gone thus far. I really do. I feel like the family is absolutely disappointed in how things have turned out. And then we've got... let me see here. We've got the 2 of Wands and we've got the Fool. This Fool card here, interesting that this is coming out, because I do feel like this is actually new information that is actually going to come out. I feel like this is potentially something that can help move the case and bring closure. And I say that because even I'm looking at the dove, and that's a sign of peace, right? So I feel like this case, there's going to have to be something new, and I think it is going to come, and I think it is going to happen. Someone potentially is going to involve themselves in this case, or it's going to be a new investigator or something like that, or a new piece of evidence. But there's something that's going to happen in this case that I think is actually going to bring about some closure to this case, and closure to the family. And I think that ultimately we've got happiness, that 10 of Cups. So I do feel like I'm also looking back on the Sun card, even though I mentioned different things with the Sun card. I'm looking back at the Sun card, I'm looking back at justice, I'm looking at this Fool, and now I'm looking at happiness. So I do think that there is high hopes in this case. I really truly do feel like there is going to be, as of right now, I think that there are so many people that are disappointed. Interesting that the matriarch is coming up, okay, the Queen of Pentacles. So I don't know if this is Nanette or if this is potentially a mother. I know I seen an article or an interview with her father. I don't know if her mother is still alive, or what's going on with that, or if it's referring to her. But I feel like this is, I like how she's turning around and looking. It's like she's looking at us or the camera, or it's like a direct message to us. Like she's turned around and she's got this happy face, or happy expression on her face. And so it's very interesting that this is, to me, this is like, don't worry. This is what this card is. It's like she's turned around and she's saying, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. You just wait and see. It's going to work out, okay? It hasn't been working out thus far, but it's going to be okay. So that's how I'm looking at that card. I rather like that one. Prince of Wands, this is the journalist. Okay, so the journalist here, I'm looking at this as interesting on this one, the journalist, but it's reversed. So it makes me feel like, is there something that has been hindering the case, as far as the way it's been reported on, or is it, I don't know. Interesting on this one. I almost feel like I feel like with this one here, there's wrong information being given to someone. So literally I'm looking at this journalist guy and I'm thinking of the sheriff. Giving wrong information to the public. That's what I feel like. I feel like that is something that has been hindering this investigation, is the sheriff. I really do get a bad feeling about the sheriff, and so I'm looking at that as the sheriff. And so there might have to be, with this new fool, whoever this is, there might have to be some fresh eyes look at this case in order to kind of get to the bottom of what happened. And we've got the Two of Wands. So again, this is kind of like, and it's actually on top. It's actually on top of the journalist. So I feel like that Two of Wands, that is something possibly that I feel like that's directed towards the sheriff and possibly law enforcement involved in this case, because I can't help but to think that there's a little bit of corruption here going on, just because of Stephen's position, being the chief fire marshal. There's something going on there with that. Oh my God, I'm at 1 hour and 10 minutes. I was hoping to put in some video clips of Stephen's ride in the car, but I don't even know if I'm going to have enough time to add a 3-minute video, so I better hurry it up here. And then we've got the 10, the Wheel of Fortune, but it's reversed, and so I feel like this is someone's luck running out. That's exactly how I take it. This is someone's luck about to run out, and I feel like this is Stephen. Okay, I feel like Stephen and his cohorts, because I think that this was a group thing. I think all of those people were involved, or at the very least, are aware of what happened. I do feel like this was something that was planned in advance. It was premeditated. Every single piece was put together precisely, and everything just kind of worked out. Definitely everything was done intentionally. And I feel like, due to Stephen's position, okay, in his job, in his career, and people that he knew, it just so happened that, because the whole investigation was kind of botched from day one, I feel like he was able to manipulate things and get away with things. For example, being able to go back into the property and clean up for a whole 5 days before an investigation started. It was almost like they said to him, hey, we'll give you a week to clean up the mess, and then we're going to start the investigation, and then go in there and do whatever it is that you need to do to clean yourself up. That's almost how I look at it. So there were things that, and then we've got a 5 here. Just as I said that, I looked up at this 5. It was 5 days exactly before the house was released. It was 5 days exactly from the time that the fire started to the formal investigation. So literally there were 5 days where evidence could have been completely eliminated or destroyed. So very interesting with that, and I have to wonder if that's not intentional. All right, so let me quickly, I want to, let me see, do I want to use this deck? I think I want to use another deck. I want to pull a card. I want to pull a card each for these characters, and then I am going to have to end this video because it is like way too long, and I'm so sorry. I know I took a little bit longer on the background of the story, and I think that's why I'm behind. Alright. So I want to pull a card for Stephen. Okay, pull a card for Stephen. Let me see, let's start with Stephen and then the neighbor, the cousin who lived down the street. And then his son, Justin. And then his brother, Brian. I feel like there was someone else. Okay. So, actually, let me use this again. Alright. We've got Stephen, cousin, Stephen, cousin, son, brother, oh, and trash can guy. And trash can guy, the guy in the picture. Alright, so let's see what we have here. We have Stephen is the Page of Swords. Cousin is the Eight of Cups, reversed. The oh god, who was the third one again? Was it the son or the, I think it was the brother, is the Three of Cups reversed. The son is the Four of Cups, a lot of emotions. And then we have the trash can guy, which is the Two of Pentacles reversed. So right away, I'm going to say that with trash can guy, I think there was finances involved. I think he was paid to be there. Okay, I think he was paid to be there, and I think he had a purpose, and his purpose was to scare the living daylights out of Nanette, and I think that it worked. So definitely I do feel like this person here is involved to an extent. At least he was paid by someone to be there. And look at that, he's a snake. He's a snake, literally. And then we have, we've got cousin, brother, and son coming up as cups, as emotions, feelings. And not necessarily good feelings either. These are all people that have, I feel like, emotional issues that they're struggling with. You know, so definitely interesting. But to me, the person who would be in charge of it all, the one that's the brains of the whole thing, is the sword, the Page of Sword. So that's Stephen. So. I feel like all of these people have a role to play in this case as to what happened to Nanette. You know, it just so happens that emotionally they are not 100%, and so I think that they were able to be convinced or involve themselves in this somehow. But I do feel like, if anything, my bet would be on Stephen being the ringleader. He you know, swords are air, right? It's our intellect, our ideas, our consciousness, our, you know, thoughts. And so this to me is the person who is running the show. He is not running on emotions. He's like the calm, cool, and collected one, and he is the one that is dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. Very interesting that those cards came out, but my guess is that all of them played a role. All of them played a role somehow, shape, or form. All of these people played a role because they wanted to play a role, this person played a role because he was getting paid for it. Okay. So I think I'm going to end it there, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this reading, and again, thank you so much for your support. I so appreciate it. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. And let me know about what you guys think about doing something for the month of October for Halloween, maybe some haunted house or haunted hotel type readings or anything. I don't know, just something. Just let me know if you have anything in your mind that you would like to have me read on, and I will see you next week, guys. Thank you so much.